Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the most persistent urban legends podcast on the internet. This is the final episode of this series 6. Yes, we've really been going that long, and I am one of your hosts who's still here, despite the protestations of many podcast elders, Chris Flynn. And with me is my equally unpopular co-host, Mr.
Neil Herbert. I died about 2 years ago. It's got a lot of Randall and Hopkirk deceased vibe. I'm just sort of haunting the
You're
internet
haunting
now.
me.
Yeah.
Do any of these episodes go out, or is this kind of just a playing out within my mind palace?
Yeah, this is just your Mind Palace a la Sherlock Holmes, the Cumberbatch version.
You see, that's weird.
Not the Guy Ritchie version.
See, that's weird, Neil, because actually, from what I understand it, this is playing out in your mind palace, and I'm your Tyler Durden. Dun dun dun.
It's
Twister Rooney, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, like Fight Club or Jacob's Ladder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like Jacob's Ladder.
Take a taste of that.
There's
philosophy students.
there's a set of steps up Britain's answer to the Grand Canyon, Cheddar Gorge, called Jacob's Ladder.
Really?
Little something for the old Christians there.
That's nice. I wonder if it takes you up to heaven.
Well,
or to a nice plate of cheddar cheese. Isn't that the same?
That's a kind of
sounds like my kind of heaven. Especially if there's some Branston pickle on the go, some free crackers.
And it'll be point of scrutiny just to polish it all off, and then I'll get in my old Land Rover and plough it into a tree. No, I think there's I think you can get at the top of it like an ice cream, so that's quite heavenly.
It's all right, isn't it?
Nice cheap, Mr.
For a
Whippy.
British person, that is. I mean,
that's
our American friends, their expectations are far more, far better. To be fair,
realistic.
But we, nice cup of tea or something, we get quite excited.
Oh, I'd love a nice cup of tea now.
Scone with a nice bit of jam and cream.
Oh, jam first, obviously. See, this is the kind of shit which is why the Americans take the piss out of us, right? That I was talking about last week.
Well, we were all tweeting that.
Yeah, they were all tweeting that. But we're not, right? We don't all speak like the Queen because we ain't all got money like the Queen. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, speak for yourself, Chris.
Well, I know you, but you speak very much like a Queen.
Happen to make King Charles look like the broadcast mofo he is.
Hey, how have you suddenly got
Buckingham Palace looking a bit tacky?
I'm all like the fucking shithole.
Yeah.
So how comes you're rolling in the old Benjis at the moment?
Well, it's my investment. My investment in Canterbury shares, Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay dividends.
Paid when it was penny stocks.
Oh.
Now I'm rolling around in diamond-tipped leisurewear.
Diamond-tipped leisurewear?
Yeah.
That sounds like it'd catch on surfaces.
It's like Louis Vuitton, the tackiest of the luxury brands, in my opinion. But instead of them like the brown leather with that sort of stuff, it's like just diamonds pasted onto them.
Diamonds or diamantes?
No, proper diamonds.
Proper diamonds.
And I make sure they come from conflict zones as well.
Lovely.
As blood soaked as possible.
So as I like to say, just buy them in Antwerp.
Yeah.
The hotbed of the unscrupulous diamond
industry. Gives me a sense of power.
Yeah, well, I mean, the funny thing about diamonds is they're not all that rare, are they?
No.
They just hold them back and release a certain amount because it's run by a cartel of about 4 diamond businesses.
Anyway, they are forever, Chris.
They may or may not last forever. They'll outlast you.
I mean, not outlast the heat death of the universe, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a shame.
There'll certainly be an heirloom item you can pass on to your grandchildren.
So no, I've noticed something in the news, but I'd like to.
You're going to run it past me.
I'd like to improvise like a little jingle, to into it. Boom, boom, boom. What's that? The saying in the shopping malls? What's that? The saying down the skate park? What's that? The saying by the fishing docks? AI. Yeah, it's an AI news segment. AI,
the most wonderful of text gifts.
It's do you know what? It's not a bubble. It can only go up. And
finally, perpetual growth.
So I saw a little setback for AI is McDonald's were trialing using.
No, it's just another step up Chris.
It's a step upwards.
Sometimes the steps have got to take you down to go.
Sometimes it's challenging expectations in a way that us humans don't understand.
Yeah. You've got a proper disruptor mindset. You'd understand this.
Yeah, I love that.
Move fast. Fucking beta.
Move fast.
Fail fast as possible.
Move fast to break things. Yeah.
And we've got to understand,
if you
fail fast enough, you actually succeed. Okay.
Well, that's certainly
get your head around that.
Certainly, what a lot of people in the Silicon Valley world do, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, so McDonald's, so they were trialing it, like taking orders at the drive-through.
Oh, this rings a bell vaguely.
And so they've said we've had
a copy of Mein Kampf instead of a Big Mac or something.
Yeah, that was it.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me.
But these Mein Kampfs are flying off the shelves.
Actually, sales went up 300%. Can take it up.
But basically, they said like it was coming up with kind of hallucination orders. So like ice cream with bacon on, and like
but loads of people would fucking love that.
But that's just where I'm going with this. But or like $100 worth of chicken nuggets, and I reckon. So I reckon
got to get your nugs in.
So what? Yeah,
the nug.
Come on, man! Like, can't have enough nugs. So I think actually probably what they want to do before they kind of scrap it for now is actually check where these things happened and check where Donald Trump's campaign events are being held. Yeah. Because I think that sounds like something which because Donald famously loves McDonald's, doesn't he? Because
he did a White House dinner, didn't he? Where he did a Mackie D's for all of I believe it was college athletes. I might have gotten that wrong.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah, have you never seen the photo? Just like he bought a load of like filet fish and Big Macs and Lord knows what else.
I mean,
it would have been cold by the time it got there. I would have thought. I suspect it's not beyond the wit of the White House chef to warm them up.
He sold Air Force 2 and had a McDonald's built in the basement where there used to be that bowling alley. It's now McDonald's.
That surprised me.
Well, why not, man?
Why not? If you're leader of the free world, you'll be able to do these kind of things.
Look, some people might say it's the mad moves of a deranged dictator. Some people might say he's got a lot to do and he likes McDonald's, so why not make it convenient for him? That's what I'd say. A little maybe they need to stop blaming AI and maybe they need to start looking at the correlating data. That's all I'm saying, Neil.
Just where you got to put it.
Where you got to put it. So, Neil, what have you been up to this week? Neil, we all love football. We talk about football. We watch football. Our American friends love soccer. Most popular sport now, under 12 girls. But
nonetheless, they're the future. That's what you want to see.
They're the future leaders.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's good that they're the future leaders because they won't have that zero-sum mindset that some of the old guys do now, right? Because in football, you can obviously have a draw. Yeah. So, exactly. It's not that it throws game theory out the window. So there's a lot of football on at the moment, Neil. The European Championship.
Euros, it's just warming up. We're enjoying it. It's England
currently on in the background.
Beat Serbia 1-0.
Who's playing Hungary?
Yeah, that could be. It's another game on tonight, isn't it? Or is that the last game tonight?
No, later on it's Scotland playing.
Switzerland, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, Scotland versus Switzerland.
Oh, good luck, Scotland.
All the S's, unless you are a wanker and you insist on calling Switzerland Helvetica.
Who's doing that?
That's what they've got on all their money and coins and stamps because it's the Latin for the Helvet. You see, I'm the kind of wanker that knows why as well. So
Yeah, I was going to say.
But it's called the Helvetican Confederation. Is the Latin for the Swiss.
Well, there you go. Have you been reading facts off the back of a Toblerone again, Chris?
I ate a pasty which was off, and I slipped into what can I describe as a reverie.
Yeah, fair enough. Explore. I think it's really one of those things, and I'm sure Switzerland is a beautiful country with a rich history and all that.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous country.
I don't really know anything about it. It's just kind of like
nothing to know.
Yeah, it's like that speech from Third Man, isn't it? It's just like, in a few decades in Renaissance Italy, of the Medicis, and they created all this fine art. 300 years of brotherly love in Switzerland, and they invent the cuckoo clock.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a bit.
I mean, it wasn't invented in Switzerland, and yeah, that's massively reductive. I mean, to be fair, the character's meant to be an arsehole, Harry Lime. But
is that why you memorise all of his lines? Is it?
It was a good speech from Wells, and he made it, and he did it himself, which Graham Greene, I believe, put in the novel, or it might not have been in the novel. I can't remember.
No, Switzerland's all right. I've never been.
Just to say, I haven't had a lot of curiosity about. For some reason, whatever. I mean, you can't know everything about everywhere, can you? But
you can.
Well, all right. I don't know everything. I basically what I'm trying to say in a nice way is I don't really care about Switzerland.
Okay. Well, what is it you like?
I don't. You know,
I tell you what. I know expert.
Nothing against Switzerland. I don't. You know.
I know expert, but
it's never turned me on, Chris. It's never made me interested.
To be fair, the Swiss rarely listen to this podcast, so you know, like who you're upsetting. No, I'm not an expert. I mean, to be fair, sometimes when there's sort of diplomatic events going on, the Foreign Office will contact me directly to ask about Swiss things, customs, that kind of thing. So I'm not, I don't like the word expert because there's always more to learn. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But if you've got some questions, Neil, I'm quite happy to sate your curiosity while we're here.
Highest mountain in Switzerland?
Huh?
Highest mountain in Switzerland?
Mont Blanc.
Oh. That's why they name the pens, is it? Dodgiest financial shenanigan?
Dodgiest financial shenanigan? Yeah. Nazi gold.
Yeah, that's true. Any more current than that?
Huh? Any what?
Any more current than that?
Any more current? Well, Swiss banks, are quite well known for being clearinghouses and for dictators. It's a dictator's place of choice. That there or the City of London, really. So
that's what I say. Yeah. Favorite cheese?
Gouda.
What about Swiss cuisine? Because I don't know. There's a lot of cheese places, isn't there? There's fondue, raclette, which is a weird. It just seems to be another melted cheese, which I'm sure is very nice. But
you've got Nestle's a Swiss company.
Oh, and they're extremely
great, and we welcome that. We welcome their sponsorship. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. We support your endeavours to bring powdered milk to the third world. Desperately needs it.
Children's surprise. That's what Kinder Surprise means.
That's true, actually. Yeah, and there was it three treats in one? I believe the surprise was one of the treats. So you got some chocolate that's inedible.
Chocolate's all right.
Chocolate's vaguely. No,
it's all right. It's a bit different than English chocolate, which is why it was quite nice when you're a kid. Because not all of us grew up like you, Neil, eating only the finest Thorntons,
the finest of truffles,
the finest truffles, having a weekly crate of Belgium's finest chocolates delivered to the house. We didn't all live like that.
Chocolate ganache ice cream, yeah.
Chocolate ganache bath.
Yeah. Good for the skin.
Good for the skin, good for the tum.
That's how I look so
chocolatey.
Yeah.
You get those kind of Central European chocolates. They're quite nice, aren't they? They're different. You can get most of them in England now, to be fair. But
to be fair, I don't mind. I think they do like a.
I think Ferrero, as in the Rocher. I think that's
Rocher's nice. That's Italian, though, isn't it? I believe.
Is it? Is it Italian?
It is Italian, yeah.
Of course it is. Showy,
classy,
very showy, very classy. Showy, but with such a
Ferrero Rocher. I know they're very naff now, but I do.
Oh yeah, they're still really
hazelnut
expensive.
Chocolate always. I suppose. Yeah. Have they become expensive?
No, they're always expensive. They're still expensive.
Compared to
maybe not to the likes of you, Neil, but to the likes of me.
Oh no, compared to I don't know, like a Thorntons. Are they that much more than like a box of
bar of chocolate? Yeah.
Not a bar of chocolate. No, I'm thinking like
we're not all buying chocolate.
Box of Celebrations or something.
We're not all buying. Who buys a box of Celebrations?
Christmas. Any of this stuff you only eat at Christmas, didn't you? I'm not eating Ferrero Rocher year round.
Why have you got Ferrero Rocher wrappers hanging out of your beard right now?
Anything hazelnut and chocolate, I don't eat that often, but it's a good combo. I approve. Brazil nuts also nice with chocolate. Anyway,
all nuts with chocolate. I like chocolate. I like nuts. Yeah, beautiful. So Neil, I feel like we've done some talking now. We didn't really get into the football, but that's fine because we've got you know, a lot of people who aren't into football.
No, to be fair,
I don't want to upset them. What I don't want to do is I don't want to negatively impact their truth.
No, that's true.
So, you know. So, you know, let's not do. And football, you know, it can be very tribal, can't it? It's very partisan. That's why
we haven't seen. I don't
partisan.
think any particularly bad incidents yet.
Well, there was a bloke with an axe who the police shot.
Oh right, okay. Well, I mean that's pretty routine for these kind of tournaments. There is that. No,
there hasn't. The England fans have been very well behaved.
I've not seen like mass riots
because literally anyone who even has like a shaved head has their passport taken away. Well, about 90% of men in this country during any international tournament have to hand their passports into a police station. I
mean, fine. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
if it stops what's happened in previous tournaments, if that's the only way it's going to.
It's more your Serbian fans and that kind of stuff that are the trouble, like kicking off.
That's what we didn't want to get into. But yeah, I mean, yeah, don't know.
Fair enough, mate. They went, you know, like a rough place, isn't it? So, you know,
we went a bit to Serbia. It's actually quite nice. But yeah, it's
probably wasn't nice during the war.
Well, no, that was. I mean, it's a good 20 odd years ago.
All right, yeah, just forget it then.
It's a quarter of a century.
Says Neil is always banging on about Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah.
Ooh, and singing Waterloo at the top of his voice.
Don't forget, yeah.
Like ABBA.
Yeah.
Traitors. ABBA are traitors?
Yeah.
To who?
They forget about the wars with Sweden and all. Don't worry.
Well, this is why you don't like ABBA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the because when
Swedish Wars of Succession or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, like it's if you don't let some of these things go, it's quite difficult to kind of get by. To be honest.
Well, yeah, but you know, got to hold some grudges, haven't you?
Apparently so, Neil.
Yeah.
So, speaking of holding grudges, you used to have a grudge against this particular urban legend. You thought it was shit and there wasn't anything to it. Whereas I said, I think there's a fair bit written about it, so there's probably like bits to it. Where do you lie now, Neil, on this particular topic?
It's a bit shit. There's not that much to it.
Right.
No, there's stuff to it. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll go through.
So what is it, Neil? Drum roll.
I'll tell you what it is. Okay, yeah. So big one to round out the series. We're going to do the Mothman.
Mothman.
West Virginian.
From He-Man? Was it a He-Man character?
No. This is Mothman, as in Mothman Prophecies fame. It's an urban legend from West Virginia. Yeah, it was the book and it was a movie as well, starring Richard
Do you want me to give you a little fact about West Virginia, Neil?
Go on then. Nice backy, apparently. Nice backy, apparently. Nice tobacco.
Nice back, yeah. I believe my gold leafs from
Pure
West Virginia.
Yeah.
So, the term redneck comes from West Virginia, and it's not what you think. It's not from people having rednecks. No, it's not that. So, back in the late 1800s, West Virginia very much coal mining, right?
Yeah.
And the coal mining barons, this was kind of the robber baron period in the US, right? Mm-hmm. The barons would come in, set up the mine, then sort of buy all the shops and all the housing. So basically all the wages were going back to them. And then, they would sort of overcharge people for houses and all that kind of stuff. So basically people were working for free, for sustenance.
Yeah,
right?
as kind of like depicted in Grapes of Wrath and stuff like this.
Yeah. So that was going on, right? And so they actually did mass industrial action, right? And they all went on strike, right? And to indicate that they were supportive or were members of the strike, they would wear a red neckerchief, hence red neck, right? That's where it comes from. But because things haven't changed all that much over time, the government sent in the National Guard.
Good. A few Pinkerton agents, hopefully, as well.
Who went in and basically just basically opened fires on all these communities and killed hundreds of people. And this is one of the reasons why, because when I think of like gun control and gun laws and stuff, for me, it's like a no-brainer, right? But for the people in this kind of area, they have kind of memories of a couple of generations back, the government coming in with guns and then not having a way to defend themselves and being slaughtered. And so that's kind of why they're very much kind of like, you're not taking my fucking gun. It's because a couple of generations back, they basically, because they were refusing to work almost in sort of enslaved conditions.
Yeah.
Then the government came in and shot a load of people because the government wanted the coal to keep moving. So
should have been right then.
Yeah, no,
that's fair
West
enough.
Virginia stuff there.
Well, I mean that would have been all around as well, because similar thing again with the calling in the police and stuff happened in. I say happened, and it was written about in Grapes of Wrath, but I think it was based on his real experiences traveling around the country. But yeah, obviously all based in California rather than West Virginia. But yeah,
so
I'm sure it's going on all over.
I guess where I'm going with this is the Mothman anything to do with coal mining?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry about that. I might cut it out then.
No, that's all right. So we'll see. I don't think so, because it's very specific, and it's very much starts in the late 60s or mid to late 60s.
Okay, so by then the unions have been crushed anyway. So
yeah, everything was and we're only 20 years away from sort of Reagan.
Is the Mothman the ghost of a Pinkerton?
Yeah, it could well be. I'll tell you what. Let's put it, because we've touched on it a little bit. We've talked about. Did we do an episode on Indrid Cold? Or
we did, yeah.
Yeah, it was specifically around him, because I know he was involved in it. I mean, it's
still going to Pinkerton Agency, by the way.
Yeah, I believe it is. I think it's slightly different.
There's still private security.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where.
Should we try and get jobs there?
Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What would your job be?
I mean, there is a kind of allure to the name of it and all the rest of it. I'd be the person who just works in the back office and then just does all the intel.
Admin.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say you're doing intel, but it's basic data entry.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just fixing.
Nice. That's all right, man. That's
covering stuff up. Just doing a lot of shredding of
You'd
quite a vital piece.
Presumably, you'd insist on having a Pinkerton badge.
Of course, and a gun.
I need the badge and the gun in case I need to get more copy and paper.
For every 50,000 documents I shred, I'd scream and fire into the air.
I want another bullet.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds good. I think I'd probably be.
You'd be like a hardcore thug agent, like Continental Op.
I'm thinking a corrupt hammer. I'm thinking a corrupt turncoat Irish strike breaker.
Nice. Right back to the sort of first, because that's where a lot of the film noir stuff comes from. Dashiell Hammett, I believe he was a Pinkerton agent himself, and he was so scarred by what he kind of, he wrote things that were like thinly veiled illusions. Well, I'm not sure how realistic it was, but that's anyway. And then Raymond,
good.
And I've just based all those stuff on that, even though he worked at an advertising copy agency.
I like film noir.
I do. I'm still, accessible. I know it's very much of a time and place, but
it's very stylish, isn't it?
Keen on the aesthetic and the
lots of
slightly downhearted. I don't know, just the bittersweet kind of nature of it.
Yeah, lots of shots of people with like shadows on either side of their eyes.
Yeah,
so only their eyes are sort of standing out. That's good, isn't it? That's good look. Good look.
Good look. Looking.
Is that Mothman's look?
No, hats. Mothman's. Okay, let's. We can't eke around any longer. So I'm gonna. Right, I'll go to a story. Just
first. Quickly. So one last thing before we go into it, just so the listeners know. Next week we're going to look at doing, because it's the last one of the series, and we'll always have a little break in between. So next week, if you have any questions or whatever, then we're going to do like a mailbag episode. So please, anything at all, we'll put it in, and just email us at urb.legends.podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, or if you want to.
Or put it in the comments.
Can be about
or
Urgent Lemons, can be whatever you like, yeah.
Or, you can put it on the Twitter, and I'll pick it. I'll check that before we do it.
Yeah. Okie doke. So, paranormal WVA.
Okay.
So that wouldn't be West Virginia, would it? I don't know. So this is by Shayla Klein. Point Pleasant. The year was 1966. Two grave diggers in Clendenin.
I
don't know
why
I'm finding that so hard to pronounce.
It's a weird word.
Clendenin. West Virginia, saw a black figure fly over their heads while digging a grave in a cemetery. They didn't know it then, but a podcast would be able to pronounce the name of their town. And they'd also be credited with being the first people to see the famous Mothman. So 66 is when this kind of started. So it was...
Was he celebrating England win the World Cup?
Yes. They've never thought of that, but yeah. That is another data point that I've not considered.
A big one. It's big. Yeah. There's a global event.
Yeah.
Echoes through history.
World champions. Yeah, we've not stopped banging on about it ever since.
I think we stopped a while ago, to be honest.
I don't know, every 4 years. Anyway, according to legend, Mothman is a black 10-foot creature with wings and red eyes. Shortly after the cemetery incident, residents of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a few miles west of Clendenin, claim they saw the monster while driving at night. Articles in newspapers at the time were reporting the monster was also commonly seen in the TNT area near town, with some locals speculating that perhaps people were really seeing cranes or owls, and others wondering if the creature was created in some sort of mutation accident involving the chemicals associated with storing TNT.
Yeah.
So there you go, sort of glycerin and stuff and nitrates that cause you a nice Mothman.
Are they mutating? I thought it was just toxic waste that the mutation, or nuclear stuff.
I don't think the Toxic Avenger is particularly scientific, so I don't think it has to be toxic waste. I think.
What about Penelope, the beast of Sierra Nevada?
Well, if you look at the Ames test, pretty much everything is a mutagen, like black pepper, burnt toast, fucking, and then they realised that we have fairly good mechanisms for overcoming mutations. But yeah, the sun, that's a fairly powerful mutagen. Give yourself sunburn, that's not good for your DNA. Pretty much everything can fuck up your DNA, to be honest.
I'm smoking a cigarette, that's a mutagen.
That's it's a mutagen and carcinogen. Yeah.
I'm drinking San Celestino water, which means that I will be continuing to fill my genitals with microplastics. They're mutagens.
Yeah, similar, but mine's a Rubicon Spring Orange Mango because I can get the black cherry.
You and your Rubicon, you're so tropical.
Nice. It's low calorie, but it's quite tasty, and I think it's quite natural. It's probably not. There's probably got a load of sweeteners in there that are mutating me as well. But I like to think I'll turn into Wolverine at some point, so rather than just, die of stage 4 cancer.
Bit of a stretch, but there we go.
Well, we've got to have a life plan, Chris, even if it is ridiculous.
So I think that's where I'm falling down.
All my requirements were sort of have to have minimal effort on my part to improve myself, have exceptional outcomes.
So your one was
I take to myself with my increasingly broken psyche.
Your one is, well, I don't go to the doctor for decades at a time because I don't really want to hear what he has to say, and so actually I'll just keep drinking carcinogens in the hope that I gain an incredible healing ability. So therefore don't have to do anything towards anything.
Take a taste of that medical science. Neil won every other doctor in the world. Yeah.
Well, I have wondered, and I'm glad that there is some kind of loose thread of
there's a plan,
logic through it.
There's a madness to my method. Right, okay. The most infamous sighting of Mothman was in December the 15th, 1967. They're kind of giving the game away here a little bit. Locals said they saw Mothman on top of or flying over Silver Bridge, which is a suspension bridge over the Ohio River that connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipoli, Ohio. According to Mothman law, shortly after the creature was spotted on the bridge, it collapsed, resulting in the deaths of 46 people. Wow. This is the whole big thing. There was this bridge collapse. And and there's all this, the sources there. So investigation into the disaster found that a fracture in a suspension chain was the cause. Well, that's what they told us.
I mean, could he have just caused the fracture? The Mothman.
Was it the Mothman?
Big lad.
And he's allegedly been cited at other disastrous events since the bridge collapse, with people claiming to have seen the creature before earthquakes, tsunamis, and even the 9/11 terrorist attack. I don't recall. Right, I'm going to have to Google this now.
Mothman at
9/11.
Well, when was he seen at tsunami? Like, when was
he's a pretty little Japan? I was going to say, yeah, and that's the thing.
Tsunamis tend to happen in Asia, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Why didn't Mothman warn us about 9/11? Our cryptids. Okay, Reddit. This could be the sarcastic. Is he stupid? Says Hippie Grunt 101. Its other appearances came before accidents. 9/11 was premeditated, says Inverse Ratio.
That's good. Good point.
Sonic Adventure 2 was released in June of 2001. There's your answer.
Yep, well, that's someone who's been to Oxford Debating Society.
Yeah. 9/11 was a canon event, apparently. Okay. I don't know what all this is all about. That was funny. It went over my head.
Yeah, maybe. That's probably what it is.
Hang on a minute, let's have a look. So, Business Insider, 20 haunting photos. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be doing a lot of Googling about 9/11.
No,
deeply
no,
offensive. So I'll just carry on for about another half an hour. And then... No, I'm just trying to see if... Okay, no, we'll weave off of that subject. I don't want to upset anyone. But yeah, it seems like a very spurious claim. But yeah, there doesn't... Well, on initial Googling, there doesn't seem to be any evidence of a Mothman sighting around.
Although, of course,
Google's now completely fucking broken. And I believe there was a Mothman sighting
at the Google
HQ. Yeah, HQ.
Going down one of those kid slides inside the offices that
playing
that completely counterbalance doing 19-hour days
with Larry Page or whatever. Yeah,
no, it's fun here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had to put up a few
occurs.
We've had to put up a few suicide nets, sure. We call them fun catchers.
If you can kill yourself, stop the fun.
Better get back to work.
It ain't going to pump itself out. Well, maybe it will now. We've got AI. Anyway, so this leaves locals and storytellers split on whether Mothman should be considered an evil or benevolent creature. There's some say it's bad luck or causing these disasters in some way, but others speculate exactly he may be able to see into the future and he appears to warn people of impending doom. I think probably most people see him as more of a villain, but honestly, he could be both, and in many ways he is both, says Jason Burns, a West Virginian storyteller. Because there's no actual proof he caused the collapse, he could have, there's proof he didn't cause the collapse, it was a structural fault, but anyway.
But he could have caused the structural fault.
He could have just been saying, hey, it's going to happen, look out, I'm on the bridge putting on the brake.
Hey guys, get off the bridge, yeah? Hey, this bridge. Hey, this looks like the structure here. Which fool made this? It's about to blow.
Yeah.
That's how he talks.
Look at that structural fault. It's just, I quite like this idea of like a big...
Fuck, guys, get off the bridge. Come on.
Trust me, I'm a really good engineer, you know?
Get off the bridge. Where you going? Come to Moth Mansion. We have a party.
Yeah. I like the idea, he's just like some, frustrated engineer and he's just trying to warn people of these disasters. Just nobody will listen because
because of the corrupt local planning authorities. So, maybe that's what it is. Got it right. Episode over. Mothman was originally a person who worked in planning and was railing against the corrupt planning officers.
This will collapse one day, trust me. Yeah.
He ended up trying to get people out of a building that he knew one of the lintels above the door was made of substandard concrete. Right, and he managed to get everyone else, but the building collapsed on him, and he's come back as Mothman because he was eating a moth at the time. Don't know.
Yeah.
And what
got it conflated.
Yeah, and then he's come out, and now he's going round trying to warn people. Maybe that's his curse.
There you go. Maybe that's it. What's up, Chris, my friend?
I broke my back coming off that swing.
Oh no.
And the pain has made me sad in the brain. I don't know what to do.
Well, I might have an idea.
I'm listening.
Have you heard of Canterbury shoes?
No.
Using the ancient knowledge of reflexology and mystical secrets of Christianity, their patented insole technology can cure all manner of ills.
But surely that's just available to monks.
Well, it was until Scott Outram,
I love him,
invested in the rights and he's sharing them with the world.
I'm sold. Where can I get some?
CanterburyShoes.net. And there's a special offer for our listeners. Get free shipping and 5% off orders over £700 with the promo code PIGMAN.
Pigman. Done and done. Thanks, Neil. In a way, you're a friend.
You bet.
If you got a broken back and you're feeling blue, get yourself them Canterbury shoes.
Disclaimer, Canterbury shoes may cause scoliosis, spotting and psychosis. These should be for display purposes only. And the thing is as well, it's just 46 people died in this bridge collapse, and it's saying here, according to the 2019 census, so this is some 30 years later, it's only got a population of 4,000 people, or 4,146. So, it might be that it was bigger in the 60s. That happens sometimes, doesn't it?
It does, especially with old mining towns.
Yeah. But
46 out of 4,600. I mean, that's 10% of the population, isn't it now?
But, well, exactly. That's quite a big, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have all come from Point Pleasant, but a lot of them would have been going home from there. The town has a number of stores and food items themed after Mothman, which are available all year round. But the biggest tourist event in the town is the annual Mothman Festival, which has been on hiatus due to the pandemic. I mean, it's a few years back. When we have a festival, it can be upwards of 10,000 people visiting, so twice as many as live in the town.
Stay off the bridge.
As Brittany said, I was going to say, you're going to have another collapse. You'll be on Main Street and it's packed. You cannot move on the street. See, this is good. I like this. As we will say, we like people, get your urban legends and make some money out of them.
Yeah.
That's what we recommend. So visitors come from just about everywhere if they can catch a glimpse of them. If you were in West Virginia, I'd go along to this.
Yeah, I'm thinking of flying over there anyway.
Next holiday.
Do they have any airports in West Virginia, or would you have to go to like Washington and go inland? Probably by donkey or something. Maybe
they'd have to have something closer. I would have thought. Don't know. Quite a lot of airports dotted around America, I imagine. So do a lot of flying, don't they?
I think I've heard they've got upwards of 10 airports, although only 3 of them are international though.
Okay. I was going to say, because you could probably get a connecting flight, couldn't you? So it's the primary destination, but sometimes people stop and see a road sign on the way to another place. And then they generally come about Mothman. That's how locals feel about the Mothman theme. So I said most people are all for it. There's going to be ones who aren't really into it, but I mean, that's anywhere. Before Mothman, things took around up here, it was pretty much dead. And when I was growing up, Main Street was empty. Now we've got shops and buildings and people that are coming and thriving here, and thank goodness. A lot of people are going about that. I mean, it's better than going down London Road and seeing a load of pound shops, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd rather if we had it. That's what we need, an urban myth in Brighton, don't we? And then regenerate some of the...
I mean, we have the urban myth that it's really good for creative people and musicians and stuff, right? Because that used to be the case, and now it's we've all been priced out of living here.
That's true.
Hey, I like that town. Let's go there and make it unaffordable for the people who make it what it is.
We're not better. And then I'm going to go to another story. So a history student tells the story of the Mothman. So this is, I think this is somebody who's the student who's done some research on it. It's like an academic research. So 1966, yada, yada. Oh, here we go. This is a different origin story by the looks of it. 2 young couples fled the local woods, claiming they'd seen a terrifying creature. They recounted their story to the sheriff and reported that the entity looked human in most respects, except for its 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes.
Well, that's not very human.
No, not particularly.
That sounds like John Mothman.
John Mothman. So the local paper ran the story of the Mothman. Within a day or two, the whole town descended on the location where the creature was reported. What do they bring along, Chris?
Guns.
Yeah, toting guns and ready to hunt it down. Beautiful. You always rely on that. They didn't find it.
He could be a G-man.
Well,
after what's happened.
We could have a conversation, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to come tooled up just in case it goes south.
Look, just because I've got the gun doesn't mean I'm going to fire it. It just means that I've got it just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah. I've got it.
Look, you bring along 10-foot wingspan, I'm bringing along an AK-47. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I've got these feet, right? I've brought them along. It doesn't mean I'm going to kick you in the balls. Just means I've got the option should I need to. It's called sensibles.
Yeah. So how did the Mothman go from becoming a local myth to an internationally recognised figure?
International sex symbol.
And because he's the sexiest of... I mean, Bigfoot's pretty...
Bigfoot's hunky.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Monsters.
More cushion for the cushion.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine if... Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and the Mothman had a menage a trois.
Well, menage a quattro. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Oh yeah. Well, you want to be the meat in that sandwich, do you?
Yeah, I wouldn't last long in every sense of the word. Not bad. What a way to go.
Oh. So, how did he?
Do you love me now, Daddy?
All right. Stores. Right, anyway, so how did he become an internationally recognised figure? So, great question. Jonathan Gitter is glad you asked. He's just finished his major in history at the University of West UWM. Don't know. I thought it was going to be West Virginia for a second there, but don't know what I'm not going to bother looking it up. Graduating in May. His capstone research project tackled the Mothman myth. Getting into debt for this kind of shite. This is where you're going wrong, millennials.
Crushing.
And he presented his work at their virtual undergraduate research symposium in late
Mate,
April.
if you don't get a show on a History 2 channel within 6 months, you're peddling backwards.
Yeah. Initially, Gitter and his classmates were told that they had to cover non-human history. Their first thought was to think about cryptids or various mythological creatures and thought, where does it come from? Unlike Bigfoot, the Mothman myth has a definitive start date and location.
Yeah.
So this one is saying it's not about those grave diggers, it's the two young couples, and the newspapers began to run with the story. So he looked at the newspaper articles, and then he looked at books written on the topic. So there was ufologist John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies, and then he looked into more recently the media that's constructed around the Mothman myth, various documentaries in the Point Pleasant Mothman Festival. And through his research, he uncovered far more of the cryptid's origins, a snapshot of small-town Americana built into the fabric of the myth.
Okay.
So take, for example, the area of Point Pleasant where the Mothman was first sighted. According to his research, that spot was known as the TNT area, so they're reiterating that. So named for the factories that used to produce explosives for use in World War II. After the war, they were abandoned, the area grew over, despite the fact that TNT was reportedly still stored on site and contaminating local environment.
Fuck it. Right.
It's pretty dangerous as well, because if that breaks down, you're,
Right, we're closing the factory. Right, you're going to come
in... do anything with these high explosives?
Look, are you going to, we're closing, but we need you to come in tomorrow to, we need to get rid of the explosives. Right, I'm not coming. It's closed. I'm not coming in tomorrow. All right, well, I'm not coming in tomorrow. Right, fuck it. I'm not going to see them. Fuck it.
At least you'd have some fun, wouldn't you? I mean, or just make it all blow up,
Yeah, make it go fishing.
A bit of fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, do some
successful fishing trip.
Do some Warner Brothers style antics.
Yeah. So once the news came out about possible environmental pollution, people began to speculate if the thing was irradiated. It was a more retroactive assignment than the initial sightings. So because of the area, then they kind of so the myth may also so obviously people they liked that whole idea of people just getting more into kind of like nuclear fallout and things like that. And the myth may also benefit from the time period's fascination with aliens and UFOs, which was possibly born out of Cold War fears. I definitely do think there's an element of some Cold War era watching the skies and looking for UFOs and things of that nature. In the article about the first sightings, one of the witnesses said specifically this wasn't a UFO, so I think it relates in that sense. And against that backdrop, the Mothman myth was poised to take flight. See what he's done there?
Nope.
Okay. There was a series of sightings of people all over Point Pleasant. It then slowly moved outward. Eventually, there were Mothman sightings in other places in the United States and also internationally. I briefly heard about some sightings in Russia.
I mean, that's just because they're on a crocodile.
Yeah, that's true. Or, he was over there in 1914 for the
Bolshevik Revolution.
Yeah.
Do you say Toblerone Revolution?
No, what's it called? December Revolution? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you said October. I thought you said
October Revolution.
When briefly, for about 2 weeks, Russia was ruled by triangular-shaped Swiss chocolates.
Well, that's how they came up with Tetris.
Perfect.
It was the October Revolution. Yeah, it was 1917, excuse me. But sightings in Point Pleasant stopped after a tragedy. So this is interesting. He added, in 1967, a year after the initial sighting, the Silver Bridge, the major route in and out of the town, collapsed, killing upwards of 40 people. As we said, that could be sort of like...
fucking hell. I mean, how...
3% of the population.
But that's... I mean, how many people...
you'd likely know quite a few of those people, given how small the...
Yeah, no, it'd be horrific. But it's just... it must be in rush hour or something. You're kind of thinking a small community. How many people are all going to be on the bridge at one point?
I think because it's literally it's probably a lot of people going across from. It's a fixed. They wouldn't just been going from one part of town to another part of town. I think.
I know it was coming in.
The only route that kind of goes through. Yeah.
But still to have that many 20, 30 cars on there seems a lot, doesn't it? It's happened, so it did happen.
It's a big old suspension bridge, though, so it looks like hundreds of, or even possibly thousands of cars could go through it. So, yeah. So afterwards, people began to claim they could see the Mothman standing on the bridge the day before, possibly as an omen of disaster to come. Even so, the town has embraced its legend. So it sounds like there was a lot of sightings and things like that, and then once this disaster had happened and the Mothman stuff, they stopped the sightings.
We better stop fucking about now.
Except apparently now it's kind of like. People seeing them in tsunamis or whatever. I don't know how true.
Russian tsunamis.
Yeah. So the history of the urban legend is fascinating to get to uncover, and also made him ponder myths beyond the history. How do people come up with the myths and what purpose they serve? I mean, I think with a lot of this stuff, it's not one person, isn't it? So you can't really ascribe a motivation. It's just, that's the whole thing I think that's quite interesting about urban myths. Is this, it's like Robin Hood, when you look into, or King Arthur. If you try and actually get the real thing that's behind it, there's not one contemporaneous source, and they're usually built up over. I mean, those kind of historical ones over hundreds of years, but these kind of things over years or decades.
Yeah, Rasputin.
Yeah,
just an amalgam of lots of different people.
Yeah. So to be clear, I don't think the Mothman is real, but I do think there's a combination of motivators for people who report these sightings. There are people who saw something, it's unclear what they saw. And I'm sure there are people who report seeing these things for the attention, and there are people in between. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the motivators for the spread and incubation of this myth is a small town. Everyone knows everybody and hears something interesting. Eventually, following the collapse of the Silver Bridge, it becomes, here's meaning to why something bad happened. And then it became an economic draw for this small town. Yeah, I guess there is an element of that as well. It could be like, because how do you make sense out of a tragedy like that? Especially if it's kind of like, might be people that you knew or friends of friends.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, look at like these days, it's all, people, this is what conspiracy theories are, right?
Absolutely,
so that's what kind of the 9/11 troopers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, there's no way you can just fly a plane into a building and it'll fall down. And I mean, whereas obviously you can do that, because a plane flying into a building will more than likely knock it down, right? But I think because planes are everywhere and we're using planes all the time, buildings are everywhere, then kind of it's easier to try and think, oh, well, it must have been some carefully orchestrated plan, because then it seems less likely to happen again or something.
Well, I think it's just that, especially, I mean, you periodically get this. I think it was in the 70s, it was around that period, when something big and bad happens. And I think when there's cynicism with the government, with politicians and all the rest of it, it's, and because the thing is, it's one of those things that can look tempting at first face value, but I think but then obviously it's like, well, when like 99.9% of engineers are telling you, no, actually that is how it works. That's perfectly reasonable physics.
And sometimes
people who then decide, well, they're all on it as well, and then just get into that. But then this is the thing as well. I mean, this specifically, it's less urban myths and more conspiracy theorists, but there's an element people reckon of basically the more outlandish the conspiracy, the more it becomes self-selecting, because people alienate themselves, and then but it's like, well, I mean, it's the same psychologically. It's the same thing as when people have been conned, like conned out of money, then they kind of like very often kind of won't admit it, or still kind of don't believe it, even though it's like really clear they've been conned. Because they don't want to admit that they've been, as anyone could be.
But then that's kind of like the same psychological thing as with something like QAnon, right? Because because it's patently not true, right? Because all of it was nonsense.
Rather than looking and going, well, all of my friends and family have abandoned me, and then just doubling down, and thinking, well, actually, there's a common denominator for why all of this is happening to me, and maybe that's not.
But it's like, but it's almost like a sunk cost fallacy, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sad, but it happens. Hey, there for the grace of God and all that.
Well, I mean, I'm me. I'm looking for a cult to join.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I mean, you didn't work out so well creating it. I mean, I'd recommend becoming friends with Russell Brand. It's a twofold thing. One, you get on that. Also, you might get to meet Bear Grylls.
That'd be nice, but I think the problem is that Russell
teach you how to survive in the wild as well.
Because Russell,
I mean, he is an insufferable prick. There is that.
Yeah, I know. So we've got that in common.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the problem is because Russell's, he's quite a tall guy. He's he's like 6'4", and like he kind of like intimidates people. That's kind of like one of the things he does. Yeah. I don't think that he would want me hanging around with him,
because you're like 5'3", aren't you, sir?
I'm 5'4.5" in my lifties, but but yeah, I'd be
high heels.
Yeah, exactly, heel toe
pumps. Yeah,
but I'd be, I don't think that he'd necessarily want to hang around with me. But I'd love to hang around Russell Brand. He seems exactly my cup of tea as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. He's very morally aligned.
I imagine we'd get on like a house on fire.
Well, he's verbally witty, isn't he? He's got all that.
He's very verbally witty. Yeah, I mean, again,
talking about his dingle dangle.
Again, I think
that's a metaphor. That's a
I think a problem he might have with me is that I understand the words which he says and the meanings behind them, so therefore I understand that he's a vacuous cunt. But if we could get past that, do you know what? Like, it's about me at the end of the day.
Chris,
it's my problem.
Revolution, it's got the word love in the middle. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to be getting in with him.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, you're maybe a bit too deep. Oh dear, we're never going to get in with Brand, are we?
No.
No. Unless Series 7 takes a rather hefty backward turn.
Hey, it's going to happen sooner or later. The more longer we do this, the more danger we are of just falling out. Right, I'm going to have a quick look through Wiki now. So we've had I would say it's quite an interesting one, but really all it is, you get some sightings. I think the thing with the Mothman, for me is, it's concentrated on a very small window of time, and then there's like a bridge collapse, and then it all kind of stops.
Yeah,
I think that's why I find it
almost like shook people out of it.
Yeah, but also it became sort of almost an explanation for that. But then at the same time, it didn't want. I suppose because if you, I don't know. I get, I think people find comfort in it, whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's now more of a kind of like just become a kitschy thing where they can sell merchandise. And again, no shade being thrown there. Absolutely, good luck to them if you're a small town.
So didn't he like turn up in a kid's bedroom or some stuff like that?
Well, let's have a look, because there's all this stuff in the drawer. I suspect all of that kind of shite is it's probably from the book, because we've seen this before. These ufologists who just make all of this. It's the same with the Philadelphia experiment. Well, let's have a quick look at that. I'm going to go through Wiki because it tends to sort of.
So to be fair, the Philadelphia experiment was written by one mad genius, that whole thing. Right.
Yeah. And they look like they're having a lot of fun with it. Humanoid creature area. The source of the legend is believed to originate from sightings of out-of-migration sandhill cranes or herons. Well, there you go. They've got 10-foot wingspans and red eyes, apparently. It was introduced to a wider audience by Gray Barker, that's a good name, isn't it, in 1970. And was later popularised by.
That's the name of my new dog. I'm a very literal man.
Yeah.
Well, my cat is called Lady Meow, and she's a female cat. So, this is my dog, Gray Barker.
It was popularised by John Keel in his 75 book, The Mothman Prophecies. We'll come to this in a minute. Claiming that there were paranormal events related to the sightings of the connection to the collapse of the Silver Bridge, and then it was adapted into the 2002 film, very dull, starring Richard Gere. Just have a look at John Kidd. He looks a bit like an amateur magician.
Nice.
He's from New York, so
home of magic.
Bagger.
Damn Yankee.
Damn. Oh, I've got to watch Justified. We were talking about this over email. I think you were. I can't remember which series was it you were saying they had a bunch of Justified characters.
Fallout.
Oh yeah, Fallout. Yeah. Have you still watching? I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'll go back. I've got about 3 episodes in, and then was like,
but anything with Walton Goggins in,
anything with Walton
Goggins, I'm going to have to watch it at some point.
And the guy who plays Limehouse from The Howler is in it. He's the one who digs him up.
Yeah, he's only got a brief cameo, hasn't he? But that got me thinking about that. I was like, I've got to do another. I really like Limehouse; it's such a great character. Now I've got to do myself another justice.
I really want to try some of his cooking. It looks really good.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's that whole thing, isn't it? Like that good sense of place. Yeah, I mean, going for a barbecue. I mean, you'd be scared. You don't want to fucking offend him, but I bet there'd be some mighty good,
really good ribs, man.
Yeah, it'd be worth it, wouldn't it? I might end up having to get it. And the thing is, he's fair as well, because he'd be like, if you fuck up, he's like, well, you do it twice and you're going to end up like getting eaten in the swamp, or I can, give you the old lime in the hand thing, and then we're square.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough, isn't it?
That's fair enough.
I'm saying
I think, I don't know, like I don't drink or anything anymore, so I think I'd be all right. I'd be quite fine.
I think I'd be on my best behaviour, so I'd just be, and complimenting this barbecue. So I'd like to think,
yeah.
It might just find me a bit of a bore, but hopefully I wouldn't.
That's fine.
Wouldn't consciously offend. That's fine. Yeah. Anyway,
the safety isn't boring.
Yeah, that's true.
that's Labour's manifesto pledge, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
I've got thoughts on that, but I'll leave them for off mic. But some good thoughts, some positivity. But that doesn't really belong on here.
Well, I'm sure when we come back for the new series, we'll have some comments about what's happened after the election.
If the listeners are interested, we're quite happy to do an election special, to do a reaction.
I think we might have to anyway.
You could pump out a 30-minute one because I know quite a lot about it. So for our kind of listeners around the world, so you kind of see maybe you've seen our kind of like Parliament and the MPs going at each other from different sides. But the thing is, there's loads of tradition behind it, and I know a lot of that because I studied.
Well, you've memorised Hansard, haven't you? For the last 300 years of worth. Yeah.
Like so for example, there's basically. When the Speaker of the House sits down, he welcomes the government, His Majesty's government, and the opposition. But then, if you look, he looks further to the side and does a nod, and you never see this on camera. But what he's nodding at is a stuffed parrot that used to belong to Benjamin Disraeli, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's there. And basically, sort of, they kept it there. Because apparently they say that, how these sort of rumours go up and they're all drinking. They say that the parrot wards off the spirit of Oliver Cromwell. So he has to say that to keep the parrot in to keep in good graces. And there's hundreds.
King gets angry and sends Black Rod round to give him a spank.
There's hundreds of things like that I could let you know. So if you're interested, do let us know.
Right, so just having a quick look through John Keel's wiki article. He's quite an interesting fellow, actually. So he basically studied a load of science at school, but then by the time he was 16, he left, decided to quit and write full-time when he'd taken all the science courses. He moved to New York to make a living as a writer. Lived in Greenwich Village.
Nice.
Wrote poetry. Fought
so
the
nice.
Korean War.
Not so nice.
He was a foreign correspondent in Paris, Berlin, Rome and Egypt. 24, he resigned and travelled for 4 years around the Middle East and Southeast Asia to try and find if anyone could do like the Indian rope trick and investigating fakirs and yogis. And he even tried to track down the Yeti, and that became his first published book. Worked in the 1960s.
My failure to find the Yeti.
Yes.
A tale.
And he worked on Get Smart, The Monkeys, and Lost in Space, among other TV shows.
Okay.
Wrote a fiction novel called The Fickle Finger of Fate. Sold 500,000 copies. Playboy asked him to write an article about UFOs, but it was rejected, never printed. Blimey, that was a bit high quality. But then that got him interested in the topic, so he did a bit of ufology. Invented the term Men in Black.
Okay.
An article for the Men's Adventure magazine.
We're going on the Men's Adventure.
He abandoned the extraterrestrial hypothesis, apparently. And then, there you go, Mothman prophecies. So his account of investigating alleged sighting in and around Point Pleasant. Mothman apparently was invented. The name Mothman was invented by a newspaper sub-editor. The book was widely popularised as the basis for the movie. Okay, so surely the movie was made because the book made it. It's just talking about the movie, so that's not really very helpful. He once had a business card that read John A. Keel, not an authority on anything.
Well, good.
And he didn't like to cook. And
why are we talking about him?
Because he's the guy who wrote. Basically, he made the Mothman story more popular. He wrote a book in 1975 called The Mothman Prophecies. And I'm desperately trying to find out what it is about that. So he wrote the book that fills theories that ultra-terrestrials, some form of psychic power to create hallucinations such as Mothman and UFOs.
Okay.
Anyway, so it sounds like he's had an interesting life, but I'm trying to figure out what it is about his book, because it's another one of these things where it seems like there was a local kind of urban legend that sort of sprung up in the 60s, but then kind of stopped really after. Somebody wrote a book about it. Like roughly a decade afterwards, and for some reason this has made it become really big, and it just kind of like they go on about they made a film out of it, but they wouldn't have made a film out of it unless the book was compelling in some way.
Well, I mean, it could. Well, I mean, isn't it like Ashton Kutcher did that film Mothman Prophecies?
I don't know who directed or whatever. He was the actor in it. No, that was Richard Gere and Deborah, what's her face from Will and Grace.
Deborah Messing.
Yeah, that's the lady's name.
I mean, it could well be that just someone had bought the rights to it years ago and then kind of managed to get a script together.
Maybe it's the movie that's made it become big again.
I think it probably is.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to. Anyway, he seems like he's had an interesting life, so Mothman did a few things in the '60s, and then it all sort of petered out like the hippies. So figure that one out. Don't know why he's still so popular. To be honest with you, Chris. Should have stayed in the '60s like the Monkees.
Really?
Yeah. I went in expecting the Beatles, and I got the Monkees.
The American
underwhelmed.
Beatles. Okay, Neil. You've kind of you've ended the series weirdly there, to be honest. But I'm here for it.
It's I don't know. I'm not trying to be like dismissive of it. It's just trying to find out why it is. I mean, it is a big urban legend. I've heard of it.
Mm.
Is it just because it was a movie? Is that all it is? But
I think it probably
why is it such a big urban myth? I just don't. There's just so little to it for me. You know.
So there's another podcast.
Few sightings, and there was a genuine tragic accident,
which is better than ours, called the Kryptonaut Podcast. The guys in there are really good. I've briefly chatted with one of them, and they did.
Do you have any advice for how we could be better? Not that we're going to take it.
Put a bit of work in, they said, and I went, and I just put the phone down.
Yeah, be honest, that's not going to happen, is it?
They did four 1-hour episodes on the Mothman. So there's clearly stuff there.
I mean, we haven't got into the whole Indrid Cold. All right, let's have a quick look at Indrid Cold.
No, I mean, if you want to know more about it, go and listen to that. But
that's fair enough. Yeah, rather than poorly researched rubbish.
It's not really what we do.
No, and we just took shit off of an article that we found after 5 seconds of looking. Where does that whole grinning man come from? So because he's reported in the John Keel non-fiction book. I feel like
Indrid Cold.
It's hard to find out.
It was around the same time, apparently.
Yeah, I feel like John Keel probably put a lot of meat on the bones for this, but nobody seems to really. He appears as a character in the Mothman Prophecies, a film based on John Keel's book.
So he tied it all together.
Yeah, I feel like this. I really can't be asked reading the John Keel book. It's bound to be.
No, that's fair enough.
I've got a fairly, I don't have massively snobby standards about what I read, but,
I might read it, Neil. And when I say read it, listen to it.
Actually, do you know what? Let's have a quick look. What's it cost on Kindle?
Neil, we're recording a podcast, mate.
I know, yeah. This is the kind of fucking content you get, listener. Take it and like it. Let's have a look. Mothman Prophecies ebook. John, as if I can't be able to download a version for fuck all.
But also, just while Neil's doing that, I'd just like to let the listeners know that I've noticed on Spotify recently, because they've started doing books, that you can get the complete collection of short stories by Philip K. Dick to listen to, and also
that's good.
Also, the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. So they're there to listen to for free. So
good books, Awful Human Being.
If you want to listen, books aren't great. If you want to listen to,
I don't know.
His writing style's terrible. The concepts are good.
You know what I mean. And so there's some
Call of Cthulhu's on there, and I had a look, and it's an hour and 23 minutes, start to finish. So
they're quite short stories, aren't they?
So maybe have a listen to them. If
actually, I'm gonna qualify my thing there. He laid the ground for a lot of interesting mythos and kind of storytelling. Yeah. Actually, as I recall now, there's probably some quite horrific racism you're going to bump into, because he was a
horrible person,
awful human being, and to the extent of just anyone that wasn't a wasp. It's like Italians were equally scary as or Irish people or any kind of dark demon like that. Yeah. And God forbid you're a person of colour, and that's just you got really terrified.
He considered Irish people of colour, so
pretty much anyone. Yeah,
if you're from Uganda,
directly descended from William the Conqueror, then
if you weren't directly descended from a bottle of milk,
pretty much.
So Neil, Mothman, spooky.
Even though he looked a bit like Frankenstein's monster himself, so
it wasn't a good looking guy. It's because everyone else was fitter than him.
Yeah,
just exactly.
Lashing,
Like I do, but with this podcast.
Indeed. Right, are we summing up then? Schools on the doors. Fair enough. Stop me waffling.
Let's wrap this series up now.
$3.99 on Kindle, Chris. I'll consider it.
Okay, good.
I'll consider it.
Let us know.
By which I mean I'll find a way to download it for free. And I might report back and see if there's anything more to this. So we could, it's possible if I read the John Keel book or we read the John Keel book.
Well, I'm listening to Skinwalkers and Pentagon, aren't I? So
So if we find more, we might come back to the subject.
3 years in, we're getting quite deep into this topic now by reading a book each.
Yes. Okay, so scores of doors. Spookiness first one, isn't it? Yeah, it's. I mean, firstly, you've got like a 10-foot Mothman. Does what it says on the tin. Yeah, fair enough. That's quite fucking spooky. That'd shit you up if you were sort of walking home at night and then that. But it doesn't attack anyone. It doesn't sort of do anything. It's not like, you know, there's some of the interesting
sort of wandering about, isn't he?
African. And we don't. And what I quite like as well, like we don't know. Is he good? Is he evil? Is he just chaotic neutral?
You know, is he just neutral, not even chaotic?
Yeah, or just, you know, whatever. Is he just, you know, he's just there to let you know something's going to happen. But you know, oh no, there might be a tsunami or the bridge might collapse now. So yeah, that's quite, you know, so it's like a portent of, you know, it's like an evil portent, isn't it? Whatever the motivations, you know, inscrutable motivations for the character. Yeah, it's not for us to understand the ways and
means. It's a bit like the
Mothman.
Dark Watchers in that way, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's just sort of there.
So I think that's quite, you know, it's quite interesting. It's quite spooky. So I'm going to give it a 7.
7. So it seems like a fair few people gave reports of seeing him. So it's not just like one, you know, like
no.
So it was like
just over a very short period of time.
One child claims to have seen a monster, and then for some reason, like it's like massive now, massive. So yeah, I mean, you know, some people see him. It's a, you know, he's a spooky looking guy, red eyes and that, never good red eyes, glowing.
Right. Think about looking at my bloodshot eyes in the mirror in the morning now. It's not very...
Oh, terrible! Literally glowing.
Yeah.
You don't have to turn the light on, do you? At night, you can just you can go around and go around your flat.
Literally, you can just close my eyes and they just glow off the back of the lids.
Yeah, it makes your flat look like a brothel.
Yeah. Various reasons for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you met him in the woods and it's quite a small town, country and stuff. I mean, it's not small. I mean, it's 4,000 still like a town. But I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Like, physically, he's spooky, but he didn't do anything.
Didn't do much. No,
doesn't do anything. Anyone. So I don't know. I think, you know, I'm going to give it a 5. I don't think he's all that spooky.
Fair enough.
Believability. So a lot of people believe in him. I sort of don't think the people in the town do anymore because they've got the big festival and stuff. But I think people did at the time. Do I believe in the Mothman? Not necessarily as in like a physical creature. I don't. So believability is going to be fair, well, but it had witnesses, so 5 again for me now.
I think there were a few sightings early doors, and people saw something. Whether it's owls or whatever people are saying, don't know. You know, you can't know. Then we know if somebody's out in the dark and whatever, they're scared. They see, you know, who knows? Brain can play tricks and you can't. So yeah, I think some people saw something. I don't think it was a 10-foot tall Mothman. I don't know how they just, you know, if you presumably be flying past going, what quick today? Anyway, I don't know how you have to gauge scale at that
because 10 foot is the height of a basketball hoop, and any young man in America in 1960.
Oh, he was doing like a Jordan style dunk at the time.
Would understand the height of a basketball hoop.
Well, there you have it. So I don't think it's really believed in the town. I think it's a bit of fun for them. I think there was some sightings, but the newspaper then ran away with it. It was probably more just like, you know, creating a bit of
yellow press, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They're just having a bit of fun with it, perhaps, or just it sells, you know, gets people interested, and they sort of, you know, probably weave more out of it than is warranted. So yeah, I'm not convinced, and that was only kind of like in a brief period in the 60s. I don't think someone else third hand kind of like started delving into it, and then other people are they're building up a level of belief that's just based on.
Yeah, I think Keel's come in and done a load of stuff, hasn't he? He's kind of like tied a load of stuff together, probably gone back to people and sort of coaxed
the kind of people who like ufology and stuff like that tend to sort of like be, you know, like finding these patterns and things. So I think there's probably a bit of belief there. I don't personally believe in it, but I think it's probably more salient. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well, because I think there's probably amongst certain people in the community there probably is, but I think in the town, as you say themselves, I think it's probably not really any belief in it.
Narrative premise now.
I mean, this is where it falls down a little bit for me because the film, as I say, was kind of. I mean, he got a book out of it, didn't he, John? But then again, I don't know. I suppose you could make an interesting movie or an interesting story out of this. So I like the idea. I don't think we've come across this before. The idea that potentially he's ambiguous and is there to warn people of, he's related to disasters.
Not even warn necessarily. Just he turns up because something's about to happen.
It's just like could be a portent of something that's bad to happen, or whatever. I quite like that aspect. I think that you explore that could be quite interesting. Is it like anyway, so I think there's something there, but it's not as interesting as it could be, and I don't think it's, they haven't had a fair crack of the whip. We'll have to see whether or not we ever read this John Keel book, but the film wasn't very interesting, so I'll give it a 6.
So similar to you, so it's an interesting creature, that's good. It's almost, the kind of it being kind of a portent of something happening is almost kind of like a really ancient thing, isn't it? Like an ancient Greek tale or medieval tale or something. So I quite like that's been that kind of thing, which, it's kind of been, we kind of like don't have that kind of stuff anymore. Like you see a comet, you go, that's a nice comet or whatever.
Yeah.
So that kind of superstition and stuff. I like that being pulled into sort of swinging 60s, and although maybe not so much in where they
was the age of Aquarius, Chris.
It was the age of Aquarius. So I like that kind of being brought into the time it was. So yeah, I'll give it a 6 as well as you now.
Nice.
And Reach. So I think it's big. It's not a 10, but I think it's not far off. I always kind of base it on would my mum have heard of it, and I think the answer is no.
Yeah, it's not Yeti or Nessie big, definitely.
But it's got a film and it's a well-known thing, so I think I'm giving it an 8 for Reach now.
Yeah, I can agree. Concur. It's not a 9 or a 10 for me. It's nowhere near Nessie 10 levels or even a 9, but I think 8 is probably reasonable. It is quite well done for whatever reason.
So that gets an overall score of 50.
That's part of his enduring mystery. Why are you so big, Mothman?
Why? I don't understand it.
You got none.
You got the nothing
talking about Mothman with it.
Fucking Mothman. Here's Mothman that. So Neil, and I'd like to end of the series. So can we score the series now? What would you give it? Do you want me to go first?
Bit of a mixed bag. Go for it.
So I think that this has been the most challenging series for outside things that we've had been going on in our lives, but we've had perseverance and stick-to-itiveness. So I would give it a 9 for that, but output, I give it a 7.
Fair enough. I'm going to do in the middle of those. I'm going to give it an 8, and that's for you, the listener. Thank you.
Yeah. All of the
give yourselves all a pat on the back.
Yeah, all that interaction, everything. You make our lives so easy.
Just existing, just by downloading the apps. So it'd be great if you'd review and
or just comment.
Although we have had some get in touch.
We have had some get in touch. Yes,
we already talked about the
got a free but Monsters and Mysteries
them again, won't we? At some point, I suspect.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for this series. We'll be back with a fresh new look and a fresh new sound in the intermediary time.
You say fresh.
Yeah, fresh. As fresh as
quite tired.
A fresh one of Christopher Flynn's Sonic palette. So next week we will do a mailbag, and the more questions you give us, the less we have to make up. So that would be good.
So 10 out of 10 again then.
10 out of 10 we'll be making up. But yeah, send us something through. We will answer it, and it'd be nice to hear from you. And then after that, there'll be a couple of weeks where I'll do a couple of the rewind ones from series 2 so I'll chop a couple together to make them listenable too. But then, we'll be back with series 7. We ain't going nowhere. Nobody can stop us, even if they try it.
I'll say this is your guarantee. If you do send in a question for us for the mailbag, we will
100%
answer it
and read it out. Yeah.
In the unlikely event we have too many for the mailbag, we will still get around. We will answer your question.
We'll do the episode as long as it has to be, and do all of them. And maybe keep an eye out. We might do a cheeky election special. Do a little.
I think that's highly likely.
Lovely.
He says, and then it never happens. But that's fine. Give me the long list of broken promises.
For all of our American fans and fans in India and Spain.
Yeah, you want to hear about the tedious comings and goings of the British Parliament.
Yeah, we want to hear that. I think it might just be something for that we need to do. It's more of a need.
It's what we get out of our system, really. It's been 14 years of the same government. We're ready for a change. Quite ready for a change. So yeah,
sweet. Always goes
down. There's a rest, I've heard, Chris.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, yeah, that's the series, and we'll be back obviously with more stuff and potentially a different second podcast a week, depending how we get on. So,
working through some ideas, no commitments, but we'll see what we do.
I commit 100% to it.
Oh, okay. I know. Well, we'll round that out to 50% with mine on not
150%. I'm committed to this now.
Okay, good to know.
All right, guys. Love you always, and take care.
Good. Have a great time. See you soon. Goodbye. Right, I'm just going to quickly sign off and then come back on again.
It's an urban legend. Oh, yeah. I have girls, you Greg. Oh, I'd give it my best. White and white, please, John. Right, Steve, you toe-rag. You owe me a monkey. Good job. Urban legend. This series of Urban Legends has been a paid-for advertorial for Canterbury Shoes, for Christ's sake.